Have you ever wondered why some women, as they age, radiate a quiet beauty that nothing can compare to, while others are busy chasing external validation or fleeting trends? What is their secret? It's not inexpensive clothes, perfect makeup, or the race to follow the latest trends. It's deeper, timeless, effortless. It comes from within their very souls. But for many, life becomes a series of painful days, exhausted from societal pressures, empty from trying to cling to a perfect appearance, only to realize that joy is slowly fading away. The secret of these women lies in their choice to embrace inner peace, live simply, and let go of the meaningless burdens that drain their energy and spirit. This is not just a habit, but a mindset, a way of life that completely changes how they see themselves and how the world sees them. Today, we will unveil the truth behind this beauty and explore the 3 outstanding characteristics of confident, wise women who not only accept the passage of time, but also shine through it. They have learned to nurture the richness within their souls, something that makeup cannot create, by avoiding distractions, living authentically, and choosing simplicity to focus on what truly matters. As you join me, you will see how these practices can soothe pain, bring joy, and create fulfillment, no matter where you are in your life journey. This is not about giving up self-care or neglecting your appearance, but about focusing on where true happiness resides, within you. By the end, you will understand why the most radiant women are those who choose their inner world over the noise of society. And you will have practical steps to apply, rediscovering the purpose and freedom you once lost. Before we start, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Your support is a great motivation for us to share these inspiring stories. If you find this meaningful, please like and share the video. I also value your feedback. If this touches you, leave a comment below. If there's room for improvement or you'd like me to explore a different angle, just type 0 and let me know. Now, let's embark on this journey together. First characteristic: inner richness and confidence in accepting your true self. Where does true beauty reside? Is it found in the perfectly applied makeup, or in the meticulously chosen outfit meant to impress others? Or is it something much deeper, a quality that is invisible yet leaves an indelible mark? Renowned American writer Eleanor Parker once said that there are 3 kinds of beauty: the beauty we show on our faces, the beauty we cultivate in our minds, and the beauty we nurture through the way we live every day. This timeless wisdom gently reminds us that physical beauty is fleeting, while true beauty, the kind that lingers in the hearts of those we encounter, comes from within, nurtured by wisdom, experience, and a life lived authentically. For women over 50 living in America, the question of beauty often stirs reflections on age, experience, and the journey of life. Society may pressure us to chase external standards of appearance, but do those standards truly define our worth? Women who radiate inner beauty aren't necessarily the ones adorned with lavish jewelry or flawless appearances. They are the ones who have embraced their authentic selves, with all their imperfections, uniqueness, and everything that makes them who they are. Their value isn't measured by societal standards, but by the richness of their inner world, the quiet strength they carry, and the unwavering confidence that comes from being true to themselves. This kind of beauty transcends time and trends, captivating others with its depth and sincerity. Think of Margaret Maggie Thompson, a retired teacher living in a small town in Vermont. At 68, Maggie isn't the woman who turns heads for her looks. She rarely wears makeup, but her presence radiates warmth and inspires those around her. Maggie's secret isn't found in the mirror, but in her philosophy of life. The most powerful thing a woman can do is learn to make herself happy, no matter the circumstances. These aren't just words, they are the foundation of her life. Maggie's joy doesn't come from external validation. It springs from the contentment and purpose she cultivates within. She cherishes quiet mornings with a cup of coffee, afternoons volunteering to teach local children, and evenings filled with laughter and conversation with friends. Maggie doesn't need a polished appearance. Her inner confidence and happiness create a glow that outshines any cosmetic. For those over 50, Maggie's story is a reminder that beauty isn't about hiding age, but about living truthfully and fully. Another inspiring example is Helen Rivers, an American author who lived to the remarkable age of 102. Helen left her mark not only through her books, but through the way she lived. In her later years, she attended public events with her silver hair loosely tied back, her face bare of any makeup, yet glowing with natural charm, leaving a lasting impression. When asked why she didn't wear makeup, Helen replied, "Makeup is like a mask. It hides who I really am. I want people to see me as I am, with all my years, experiences, and truths." Her words carry wisdom that only time can give. Helen's beauty wasn't in what she added to herself, but in her confidence to be herself. Her writing echoed this authenticity, stories filled with raw, relatable, and imperfect characters. A close friend once said of her, "Everything is beautiful when it is natural and true." For women over 50, Helen's legacy is a reminder that true beauty isn't about chasing perfection, but about having the courage to live honestly. This perspective on beauty invites us to rethink how we see ourselves. In a world obsessed with appearances, we often spend too much energy crafting an image for others instead of nurturing our hearts and souls. Imagine the peace and fulfillment we could achieve if we redirected that energy inward, to love ourselves, to grow, to accept who we are. What if we allowed ourselves to simply be who we are? True beauty lies in the confidence to stand firm in your truth, the courage to love yourself at every stage of life, and the wisdom to honor your unique journey. It resides in the quiet elegance of a woman who knows she has nothing to prove, whose worth isn't determined by others' opinions. It's in the depth of her smile, the grace in her voice, and the richness of her inner world. Instead of hiding behind masks, let yourself shine. Embrace the lines on your face. They tell your story. Wear your authenticity with pride. It is the rarest and most valuable accessory you own. As Helen Rivers so beautifully demonstrated, true beauty isn't about chasing perfection. It's about having the courage to show up as you are, to live with integrity, and to nurture a soul so full and complete that it touches everyone you meet. Let your inner world shine. It is, and always will be, your greatest masterpiece. Second characteristic: distance from unnecessary social relationships and living your own life. Have you ever stopped to reflect on the relationships that consume your time and energy? Do they bring warmth to your heart? Or do they leave you feeling drained, burdened by obligations that add no meaning to your life? In a world full of noise and endless demands, there is a powerful truth that wise and thoughtful individuals understand. Our energy is sacred and finite, and how we choose to spend it deeply shapes our existence. Life is not a contest of popularity, nor is it measured by the number of acquaintances we collect along the way. What truly matters is the quality of inner peace and the relationships that enrich our lives without compromising our well-being. There is a unique freedom in distancing oneself from unnecessary social connections, a self-loving act that allows us to live more authentically. This isn't about severing ties with bitterness, but about honoring our inner world and reclaiming the right to live a life of depth and purpose. Imagine the power of solitude, a space where you can breathe deeply, where creativity flourishes and dreams are nurtured. Solitude is not an emptiness, but a canvas for self-discovery and creation. Philosopher Henry Taylor captured this sentiment perfectly when he said, "True independence is worth more than shallow relationships." Independence doesn't mean loneliness, it means wholeness. It's about choosing quality over quantity, depth over superficiality. Consider the story of Clara Donovan, an artist living in a small coastal town. Clara always had a vibrant social circle, filled with weekly gatherings, art shows, and coffee dates. She was known for her lively spirit and endless curiosity. But despite her busy social calendar, Clara often felt exhausted, like she was running on empty. It wasn't until she began questioning the value of these interactions that she realized how much time she was spending on superficial relationships that didn't truly nourish her. One afternoon, as she walked along the shore, the ocean breeze carrying the salty scent of the sea, she found herself reflecting on her life. She thought about all the hours spent making small talk at social events, maintaining connections that felt more like obligations than genuine friendships. It dawned on her that she was sacrificing her peace for the sake of being agreeable, for fear of missing out. That day, Clara made a decision that would change her life. She chose to distance herself from relationships that drained her, from activities that felt more like performances than meaningful interactions. It wasn't easy at first. There were phone calls she didn't return, invitations she gracefully declined, and social expectations she let go of. But with each decision to protect her energy, she felt a growing sense of freedom. Clara didn't isolate herself or cut off all social ties. Instead, she became intentional about the company she kept. She chose to spend time with people who brought joy, depth, and warmth to her life. Friends who understood the value of silence and the beauty of meaningful conversation. She cherished long walks by the ocean, quiet mornings spent painting, and afternoons lost in a book. The more she embraced solitude, the more she discovered herself. One day, she ran into an old acquaintance at a local bookstore. What started as a casual greeting quickly turned into a one-sided conversation, leaving Clara feeling drained and mentally exhausted. Later, she humorously remarked to herself, "That wasn't a conversation, it was an energy transaction." The experience reaffirmed her choice to distance herself from interactions that felt hollow, allowing her to focus on pursuits that truly mattered to her. With this newfound clarity, Clara's creativity flourished. Her paintings took on deeper, richer hues, reflecting the emotional landscapes she was exploring within herself. She began writing as well, capturing her reflections on solitude, self-discovery, and the art of intentional living. Her work resonated with others who were also seeking depth and purpose in a noisy world. Clara found that by choosing solitude and meaningful pursuits, she was creating more space for her most profound achievements. Her art exhibitions became intimate gatherings rather than crowded social events. She invited only those who truly appreciated her work, creating an atmosphere of connection and genuine conversation. Clara learned that living authentically means having the courage to let go of what no longer serves you. It's about embracing a life of intention, where every moment reflects your values and aspirations. Solitude is not the absence of connection, but the presence of self. In those quiet moments, you discover who you truly are, unfiltered by the noise of others' opinions or expectations. Clara's journey is a reminder that it's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about building a life that resonates with your soul. If you find yourself burdened by social obligations that no longer bring you joy, give yourself permission to step back. Create a sanctuary of peace within your heart, a space where your spirit can grow. Guarding your energy is not selfish, it's essential. By choosing where and how to invest your time, you allow your soul to breathe and your dreams to take shape. As you learn to enjoy your own company, you radiate a quiet confidence that inspires others while freeing yourself to live fully and without regret. You don't need the world's approval to find your place in it. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Cherish it, respect it, and use it wisely. Clara's story is a testament to the power of intentional living, showing that life's richest moments come not from constant socializing, but from living in alignment with one's true self. When you honor your inner world, you create a legacy of fulfillment that echoes far beyond your time. In the end, the most meaningful relationships, including the one you have with yourself, will naturally thrive in the spaces you've carefully nurtured. Third characteristic: living simply with a rich heart. Author Eleanor Grant once expressed a profound truth: everyone lives within the layers of their choices, just like the clothes they wear. This idea isn't merely poetic observation, it speaks to the very essence of our lives. It reminds us that every decision we make and every value we hold dear shapes the identity we present to the world. Women who possess a quiet, enduring beauty seem to have discovered a deep secret about life, a truth they have chosen consciously. Simplicity for them is not a limitation, but a pathway to true wealth. Their lives are not disrupted by the relentless demands of modern consumerism, nor do they focus on accumulating material possessions. Instead, they nurture a full heart and cultivate deep connections with what truly matters. These women remind me of a peaceful river winding through mountains, flowing steadily and gracefully, undisturbed by the chaos around it. They do not seek validation in the eyes of others, or in the sparkle of expensive jewelry or flashy clothing. Instead, they find fulfillment in cultivating an inner world that radiates peace and purpose. Their beauty isn't loud or artificial, it's a gentle allure that draws you in, like the warm glow of sunlight filtering through the trees on an autumn afternoon. Their elegance is unspoken, yet captivating, a quiet strength that resonates deeply. They live authentically, embracing simplicity while nurturing a heart rich with gratitude and wisdom. It's a beauty that lingers, not because of outward adornment, but because of the depth and purpose that flow from within. Let me share the story of my neighbor, Martha Thompson, whose life has been an endless source of inspiration for me. Martha embodies the philosophy of living simply with a rich heart. Her presence alone seems to whisper wisdom and grace. She doesn't live in a grand mansion or drive a luxury car. Her cottage is modest but enchanting, filled with the gentle scent of jasmine and the soothing notes of classical piano softly playing in the background. Everything in her home is intentional, from the weathered wooden furniture that carries the charm of decades of use to the simple glass vases of fresh wildflowers she places by her window. Martha's wardrobe reflects the same sense of calm and clarity. She doesn't chase fleeting trends or try to keep up with the latest fashion. Instead, she wears soft linen dresses that are timeless, always clean and perfectly pressed, exuding an effortless elegance that nothing could ever shake. While others in the neighborhood rush to show off the latest designer handbags or sparkling jewelry, Martha's understated style speaks volumes. She doesn't need extravagance to shine. Her aura of peace and contentment is her most beautiful adornment. What moves me most about Martha isn't just her outward simplicity, but the richness of her inner life. Her days are filled with activities that reflect her values and passions. She loves to paint, and when she sits by her easel near the sunlit window, time seems to slow down. Her hands move with purpose, each brushstroke telling a story, each color conveying an emotion. Her paintings may never hang in a gallery, but they are masterpieces of the heart, capturing serene landscapes, quaint village scenes, and the tranquility she carries within herself. Martha's life is a reminder of something I deeply believe. Happiness is not found in what we accumulate, but in the moments we cherish. She finds joy in the simplest things: a perfectly brewed cup of herbal tea, the rustle of leaves outside her window, or the sight of a butterfly dancing through her garden. Her days are a celebration of life's most profound yet humble gifts, and her gratitude for these moments is evident. The simplicity Martha practices isn't about lack, but about an abundance of the right kind. Her life is rich, not with material wealth, but with the riches of love, peace, and authenticity. She teaches me every day that true beauty lies in living purposefully, in finding contentment in the present, and in embracing a life where simplicity and fulfillment walk hand in hand. It was one of those crisp autumn mornings in Willow Creek, the kind that wraps the world in golden light and fills the air with the scent of fallen leaves. I was still floating in the quiet joy of newlywed bliss, savoring the sweetness of our first days together. Life felt beautifully simple as I set out that morning for the local farmers market, a place where the earthiness of fresh produce mingled with the aroma of warm baked goods. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, another piece in the mosaic of a new routine I was building with my husband, Andrew. The market was bustling with friendly faces and lively chatter, vibrant with the colors of harvest. I wandered through the stalls, letting myself get lost in the abundance of nature's gifts. I reached out for a perfectly ripe tomato when a woman appeared beside me. Her smile was warm and her demeanor gentle, but there was something about her eyes, something heavy, as if she were carrying a burden too deep to speak of. "You must be Rachel," she said, her voice steady yet probing. "Andrew's new wife?" I smiled politely, my heart skipping a beat. How did she know me? Who was she? She looked at me for a moment, her gaze unwavering, and then leaned in just a little, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I don't suppose he told you about Lily, his daughter?" The world around me froze. Her words hung in the air, heavy and impossible, echoing in my mind. "Andrew has a daughter." "A daughter?" I felt the ground shift beneath me. My hands began to tremble, and before I could steady myself, the bag of tomatoes slipped from my grip, scattering across the cobblestone path. I didn't move to pick them up. I couldn't. I stood there, rooted in place, as the noise of the market faded into the background. The woman's face softened with sympathy. "I'm so sorry," she murmured, her voice tender and regretful. "I didn't mean to hurt you, but I thought you should know." I must have looked lost because she placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "There's a cafe around the corner. Would you like to sit down and talk?" I could only nod, my head spinning as I followed her through the bustling square. My legs felt like lead, my body moving on autopilot as my mind raced through 1,000 questions. Why hadn't Andrew told me? Who was Lily's mother? Why had he kept this a secret? We sat by the window, sunlight dancing through the stained glass, casting colors on the worn wooden table between us. I looked at her, waiting, dreading, needing to hear the truth. Her name was Emily. Her voice was calm and steady, but her words shattered my world. She explained that Lily was the daughter of Andrew and his first love, Hannah. They had been together years before I met him. Hannah had passed away suddenly, and Andrew, consumed by grief and guilt, had sent Lily to live with his sister Claire, who raised her as her own. The room seemed to spin as she spoke. Every word felt like a stone dropped into my chest, heavy and cold. Andrew was a father. He had a child. A whole other life he had hidden from me. A child wasn't just a secret. It was a world he hadn't let me into, a truth he had denied me. I tried to speak, but no words came out. The cafe felt small, suffocating. I needed air. I stood up abruptly, mumbling a shaky, "Thank you," before rushing out the door. I walked blindly through the streets, my vision blurred by tears I didn't realize I was crying. How could he do this? How could he look me in the eyes every day and not tell me the truth? It felt like my heart was breaking, a slow, relentless ache. When I finally made it home, the house felt cold and unfamiliar. I sank into the armchair by the window and sat there for what felt like hours, replaying Emily's words over and over in my mind. A daughter. He has a daughter. I thought I knew him. I thought I knew the man I had promised my life to, but suddenly, he felt like a stranger. Anger surged through me, hot and bitter, followed by a wave of sorrow so deep it left me breathless. I felt betrayed, shattered by a truth I never saw coming. I knew I couldn't leave it like this. I needed answers. No matter how much it hurt, I needed to hear his side of the story. That afternoon, I drove to Claire's house, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly, my knuckles turned white. The road stretched endlessly before me, each mile echoing with questions that had no answers. Claire opened the door with a cautious smile. She welcomed me in, her eyes kind but wary, as if she already knew why I was there. And then, I saw her. Lily. She was sitting on the living room floor, threading beads onto a string with tiny, delicate hands. She looked up, her bright eyes meeting mine for a moment before she smiled. A sweet, innocent smile that took my breath away. She looked just like him. The same dark curls, the same dimpled cheeks, the same sparkle of mischief in her eyes. I felt my heart stop, my chest tightening painfully. She was real, she was his, she was the living proof of his secret. My voice shook as I turned to Claire. She's his, isn't she? Andrew's daughter. Claire hesitated, her eyes flickering with guilt and sorrow before she looked away. Yes, she whispered, her voice barely audible. He thought it was best. After Hannah died, he didn't know how to be a father on his own. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. The pain in my chest was sharp, searing. He hadn't just lied to me, he had lied to himself, to his own child. I left without saying another word, my heart too heavy to bear. The drive home was a blur of tears and confusion, anger and hurt tangling together until I couldn't tell them apart. I walked into the house to find Andrew waiting, his face lighting up when he saw me, only to fall as he took in my expression. I stood there, my voice trembling with anger and heartbreak. Why didn't you tell me? How could you keep this from me? His face went pale, his shoulders slumping as the weight of his secret finally came crashing down. I was scared, he whispered, his voice cracking. I was scared of losing you, scared of facing the past. His words hung between us, heavy and fragile, like glass on the verge of shattering. I looked at him, the man I loved, the man who had lied to me, and I didn't know if I could ever forgive him. I didn't know if my heart would ever be whole again. At the end of today's discussion, I want to share a deeply personal and transformative story from my life, one that changed everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. It was one of those crisp autumn mornings in Cedar Valley, the kind that fills the air with the promise of change, tinged with the scent of fallen leaves and the warmth of golden sunlight. The streets were lined with maples bursting in hues of amber and crimson, the ground a tapestry of color. I had been married to Daniel for just 2 weeks, still wrapped in the tender joy of newlywed bliss, savoring the simplicity of our new life together. Everything felt beautifully delicate, as if one whisper could shatter the fragile peace we had created. That morning, I decided to visit the local farmers' market, a quaint gathering at the heart of town, where the earthiness of freshly harvested vegetables mingled with the sweet aroma of baked goods. It felt like the perfect way to start the day, a small ritual I hoped would become part of our new routine. I wandered through the market, letting the vibrant colors and bustling energy envelop me. It was a moment of quiet joy, surrounded by the hum of friendly voices and the warmth of a close-knit community. I was reaching for a basket of ripe apples when I noticed a woman standing nearby. She looked out of place, her posture tense amidst the relaxed crowd. Her eyes followed me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. Her face was familiar, but I couldn't place her. Yet she seemed to recognize me with a certainty that was unsettling. Her gaze was unwavering, carrying a weight that felt out of sync with the carefree morning. As she approached, I felt a chill in the autumn breeze. Her smile was warm, but her eyes held a sadness that made my heart tighten. She spoke my name softly, as though testing the waters. and the familiarity in her voice was unnerving. She knew who I was. She knew me in a way that felt personal, invasive even. There was no hesitation, no awkwardness. Her words fell heavy between us, each one more shattering than the last. She told me Daniel had a daughter. Her name was Sophie, 6 years old. I felt the world tilt beneath me, a hollow ache settling in my chest as my mind tried to catch up with her words. A daughter. Daniel had a child. It felt impossible, surreal, like I had stepped into someone else's life. My hands trembled, the basket slipping from my fingers, apples tumbling across the cobblestones. But I didn't move. I couldn't. My body felt frozen, my heart pounding in my chest. The woman kept speaking, her voice a mix of sympathy and regret. She explained that Sophie was Daniel's daughter from a relationship long before I met him. Her mother had passed away unexpectedly, leaving Daniel devastated and lost. He hadn't known how to raise a child alone, so he sent Sophie to live with his sister, who raised her as her own. The words tumbled out, each one piercing deeper than the last. The world around me blurred, the cheerful bustle of the market fading into the background. The air felt heavy, pressing down on my chest. I struggled to breathe, my thoughts spiraling out of control. How could he keep something so monumental from me? How could he look at me every day, share his life with me, and never tell me about his child? It wasn't just a secret, it was a lie. A lie that spanned years, that had shaped his life, that had shaped our life. I left the market in a daze, my feet moving without direction. The streets of Cedar Valley seemed unfamiliar, shadows stretching long across the pavement as the morning sun climbed higher. My heart felt shattered, fragments of trust scattered beyond reach. I drove home in silence, the radio off, the only sound the hum of the engine and my ragged breaths. I couldn't go back to the life I thought I knew. Not now, not after this. When I walked through the door, the house felt cold, distant, like stepping into a stranger's life. I sank into the armchair by the window, my gaze fixed on the vibrant leaves dancing in the breeze. My mind replayed the woman's words over and over, the weight of them crushing me. Daniel was a father. He had a daughter, a little girl he never told me about. The betrayal was suffocating. It twisted inside me, an ache that wouldn't let go. Anger followed quickly, hot and relentless, burning through the confusion. How could he lie to me? How could he promise me a life of honesty and trust, then hide something so monumental? A child wasn't just a secret. She was a life, a person, a part of him that he had kept from me. I felt foolish, naive, for believing in the perfect picture he painted for us. I thought I knew him, but now I wasn't sure of anything. I spent hours sitting there, staring blankly at the autumn landscape, my heart breaking piece by piece. I thought of Sophie, a little girl growing up without her father, a child whose existence I had never even imagined. I wondered what she looked like. Did she have his eyes? His smile? My chest tightened at the thought of her growing up without knowing me, without knowing that her father had started a new life, a life I was now questioning. By evening, the golden light had faded into dusk, shadows stretching long across the room. I heard the front door open, the familiar sound of Daniel's footsteps. His voice called out, light and warm, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I couldn't face him. Not yet. Not until I could breathe again. Not until I could find words to match the pain in my heart. For days, I moved through life in a haze, my mind replaying the revelation over and over. I went through the motions, but my heart felt hollow, the trust between us broken. Daniel noticed the change, his eyes searching mine, confusion turning to worry. I couldn't meet his gaze. How could I look into those familiar eyes and not feel the sting of betrayal? How could I pretend everything was the same when nothing felt real anymore? I needed answers. I needed to understand why he kept this from me, how he could build a life with me while hiding such a profound truth. But I was afraid. Afraid of what his words would do to my heart. Afraid that his reasons would shatter the last fragments of hope I was clinging to. I wasn't ready to face the truth, but I knew I couldn't run from it forever. The day I confronted him, the world felt heavy, like even the air was bracing for impact. Daniel stood before me, his face open, vulnerable, his eyes pleading for understanding. I felt my chest tighten, pain radiating through me as he spoke. He was scared, he said. He was ashamed. He didn't know how to be a father, and he was afraid that if I knew, I would leave him. He hid the truth to protect us, to protect himself, but he never meant to hurt me. His words cut deep, each one a blade slicing through my heart. I wanted to understand. I wanted to forgive, but the pain was too raw, the betrayal too deep. I looked at him, my husband, the man I loved, and I didn't know who he was anymore. Everything felt broken, shattered beyond repair. I walked away that day, my heart heavy, my spirit fractured. I didn't know if I could ever trust him again. I didn't know if love could survive a lie that deep. But as autumn gave way to winter, I realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting the pain. It was about finding the strength to move forward, to rebuild, to love despite the brokenness. And so, with a heart still mending, I took the first step toward healing, toward forgiveness, toward hope. As we close this heartfelt chapter, I invite you to reflect. Life often brings unexpected challenges, testing our strength, love, and capacity to forgive. Through this journey, I learned that family isn't about perfection. It's about embracing imperfections, choosing love over resentment, and finding the courage to rebuild what's been broken. Now, I want to hear from you. What lesson did you take away from this story? Was it the strength of forgiveness, the importance of honesty in relationships, or perhaps the value of resilience when faced with betrayal? Share your reflections and let us know how you plan to apply these insights to your own life. If this story touched your heart and resonated with you, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring life lessons. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.